Well, where do Mississippi State's coordinators actually stack up in the SEC?
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, well, welcome in. This is the Locked On Mississippi State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Jaron Spor, nearly a decade in journalism and a national college football writer with Athlon Sports, joined by my co-host, Landon McBride, a longtime journalist and college sports fanatic. This is your daily home for all things Mississippi State. Today, we're breaking down where Zach Arnett and Jeff Lebby rank among SEC coordinators and what that says about Mississippi State moving forward. Then we'll zoom out and hit all the biggest storylines across college football right now. To our everydayers, stick around at the end. We'll talk about how we can make your experience even better. Also, we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook with daily videos, so make sure to like and subscribe over there as well. Remember, this episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. All right, so SEC Mike, who obviously does a popular SEC podcast, they do a great job. They're always at SEC Media Days and a lot of different things. Cousin Shane is there with him a lot of times too. But he put out his coordinator rankings. And for the defensive coordinator rankings, he put head coaches in this. So that's why if you heard me mention where does Jeff Lebby rank as a coordinator, he's the play caller, so he's listed. In this one, Brent Venables, head coach at Oklahoma, but is the play caller. He's ranked #1 as the best defensive coordinator, followed by DJ Durkin at Auburn, and then Zach Arnett coming in at #3.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think Arnett is definitely in the top half of this, no matter how you stack it. But I don't know what to do with these rankings. I agree. Venables is #1. But Elko at 5, we've seen what he's been able to do, both with that A&M defense, what he did at Notre Dame, what he did at Duke. I mean, he's a great defensive mind. So I think he should be up higher. But the one that really gets me, and I'll admit I'm a bit of a Jim Knowles fanboy. I love his defense. He should be way up higher than 8. I mean, if you put him at 1 or 2, I'm not arguing with that. I think Jim Knowles is possibly the best defensive coordinator in college football when he's given time to actually implement his system, because it's very complex. But I mean, I do think Arnett is in that top probably 6 to 7 range. I don't know if I'd put him at 3. I'd probably have him 4th or 5th. But I mean, there's no arguing with that. He's one of the top defensive coordinators in this conference.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it many times when he got hired. He had a lot of success when he was here as a defensive coordinator. He didn't have as much success as an offensive coordinator. I do agree with you. I think Jim Knowles is way too low at #8. And I also think Mike Elko is probably too low, personally. Will Muschamp, he's another guy that's like way up there at #4, and it's like,
based on what,
been a coordinator a long time. Like,
we basing this on his last run at Texas?
Yeah, I mean, because he didn't do good at his other runs at when he was head coach at South Carolina and Florida. But I'd put Mike Elko higher. I wouldn't have DJ Durkin as high as they have him. He's still very good, but I think Jim Knowles is probably second to Venables. I'd probably then go Elko personally. And then you can go Arnett, Durkin, someone like that. And Blake Baker is another guy that is way down the list. And at 9, he's another one that belongs in that top 5, or at least in the top 5 conversation. Because he was a lead at Missouri. Didn't really have the athletes in his first year. Last year had a really good year, but the injuries started piling up, and that's when they started struggling. And so we'll see what ends up doing this year. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising, but it's nice to see a guy is that high. Would have been fun. I don't remember where he had Coleman at last year. Probably wasn't top 5. That's for sure. Probably bottom
15 or 16.
So it's a major upgrade on paper.
Yeah, it's a huge upgrade on paper, and it's one that we've seen work at Mississippi State. It's not pure conjecture. Like, this isn't some guy who's been a linebackers coach somewhere else is now calling a defense for first time, or defensive coordinator at a lower level, or even at another power conference. We know he can be successful in the SEC. So, I mean, I think that helps when you're trying to do a ranking, when you know exactly and it's not like it was 10 years ago. It was
right
just a few years ago. But yeah, I think he's really in that top 5 category. Like we both mentioned, I think we agree on the top 3. Venables, Elko, and Knowles should probably be the top 3. And then you get into Elko or Arnett, probably Womack. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's going to do some good things at Bama. With the head coaches being in there, it is interesting that they have Patrick Toney listed as the DC. I wasn't sure if I'm not keeping up with it, but Golding just becoming the head coach, is he giving up play calling immediately? You'd
Right.
think he would. So that was another interesting thing. But the bottom's kind of what you expect there on this list.
Yeah, Knowles dropping that far is just interesting because it's fair if you say, hey, they were number 1 at Ohio State, but look what he had. Like, that talent was ridiculous. And look, he leaves and they're still number 1 in the country in total defense. That's fair, but he went to Penn State and they were 25th in defense this year. It's not like they fell off and were terrible. Were they as good as the year before? I mean, they didn't have Abdul Carter on that team.
Well, that'll hurt.
Yeah, that's going to hurt a little bit. And Penn State was 7th in defense the year before, and then they went to 25th and last year. And we all know it takes multiple years for Knowles' defense to kind of get rolling, and that happened at Ohio State too. But he had a lot of success at Oklahoma State, where he had one of the best defenses
before that.
Right, and so he's had a history of success, even not at Ohio State. So it's not like his only time calling plays was Ohio State. He had a number 1 ranked defense, and then he leaves, and they're still great. Like, no, he's had success pretty much everywhere he's been.
Yeah, he really has. And I think we're not doing hot takes. But one of my hottest takes is if Knowles is given time at Tennessee, if they actually give him 2 or 3 years to really build his defense, I won't be surprised if they become the new power in the SEC.
Yeah.
I think he is that good defensively. You saw, like you mentioned, Ohio State and Oklahoma State. You saw what he was able to build there given time. And you give Heupel a defense, and that team might become really, really scary. But, bring it back to Arnett. I'm excited about having him back. I mean, I was to begin with, but then you see him on 3rd on a list like this, and it just gets me even more excited. And all the new pieces that he's already brought in the transfer portal makes me hopeful for defense, which was not good this last year.
Yeah, and you should see at least a little bit of a jump this year, if not a big jump this year. Again, you saw some of the really good play early in the year, but then they kind of fell off towards the middle to the end of the year. Hopefully with Arnett back, that kind of, you just have that consistency all the way through. Part of it is just having more depth. You need more depth because they didn't have the depth and they started losing some starters, and then it was just went downhill from there. But no, Arnett, this should get Mississippi State fans excited because you come into the year last year with Coleman Hutzler. Again, you had a good start to the year, but a lot of people still weren't happy with him. Then they fall off. You're really not happy with him. And so if you feel like the offense is, which we'll get to where Lebby ranks, if you feel like the offense is kind of going to start rolling, especially with Kamario Taylor, then you should feel really good that a lot of people naturally feel this high about your defensive coordinator and what he can do to turn around a program.
Yeah, and you were also bringing back 3 key contributors in Isaac Smith, Kelley Jones, and Will Whitson. I mean, those are 3 guys who were kind of the leaders of your defense at the 3 different levels because, Isaac Smith plays a little bit of everywhere. And when you have people like that, that's big. And, yeah, like we mentioned, Arnett's coming back. He's bringing in a lot of some coaches he's familiar with, some coaches he's not familiar with that are younger and hungry. So I really think this defensive staff could put together something much better than what we've seen the last few years, which would not take too much to be a lot better, but I'm excited about it. I think, and it's not just, the maroon colored glasses. Like, I'm actually think this defense will be much improved. Now, what does much improved get you in terms of on field results? We'll talk about that more when we get closer to fall, but I think it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, are you much improved in terms of you go from 100th to 80th? It's a big jump. It's just, 80th isn't, you're still not great at defense. But all right, coming up next, where does Jeff Lebby rank among the offensive play callers? We'll talk about that. So don't go anywhere.
This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. And the player I want to highlight, it's Josh Hubbard. I know the season has not been great for the basketball team, But hey, he's still playing well. Earlier in the week, he led the team in scoring with 15 points in the win over LSU. And then with the game against Mizzou, he put up 22 points and 6 rebounds and had a couple assists and 3 steals. And you watch the record books, he's climbing up all of those records for the career. So these things remind us what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club, access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Mississippi State, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app, and invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Landon and I are in there, so come check out and hang out with us and learn some more information about the team. Go to the URL that's in the show notes to learn more. All right, so SEC Mike also put out his offensive play callers. At number 1, he has Ryan Grubb from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Charlie Weiss at number 2, LSU. Buster Faulkner for Florida. Mike Bobo. A lot of Georgia fans weren't happy.
Georgia fans were not pulled on this.
Yeah, he's up at number 4. And then Tim Cramsey from Arkansas. Steve Sarkisian all the way down at 6. I think is a little ridiculous, but number 7, Kendall Briles. Number 8, Joey Halsey, who is the play caller for Tennessee. It's Heupel and him.
Heupel calls the plays. That's another
mix between them two.
Yeah.
My guess is it's probably situational type thing. But if you go Heupel, he's got to be higher. If it's Halsey, don't hate it. Tim Beck from Vanderbilt. You could argue he should be a lot higher with what he's done at Vanderbilt. Jeff Lebby comes in at number 10 on the list, followed by Ben Arbuckle at Oklahoma, John David Baker at Ole Miss, Chip Lindsey at Missouri, Joel Gordon at Auburn, Joe Sloan at Kentucky, and Holman Wiggins at incomplete because he's never called plays before, all the way down at 16 from Texas A&M. So first off with Jeff Lebby, we've seen him be one of the top offensive minds, so I don't agree with him being being number 10. I think he probably should be in that 6-7 range.
Yeah.
I know all the kids just went nuts. But no, he seriously should probably be in that 6-7 range, in my opinion.
Yeah.
10's a little low. He hasn't had the talent that a lot of other teams have, and they still were very explosive as an offense this past year. They just got to get better at some of the smaller details.
Yeah, I agree with that. He should be a little higher. I don't know. This whole list, it's another one. Sarkisian being at 6. Like, I know last year was not good for Texas offense overall, but when you have a track record like Sarkisian, you can't let 1 year define a ranking like this. I mean, he's still one of the, I would say, probably 3 or 4 best offensive play callers in all of college football. So, I mean, to have him down 6 to me is just a little insane. But yeah, Lebby should be bumped up a few more spots. Also, this is me learning that the A&M offensive coordinator is named Holman Wiggins. Did not know. That is, don't know anything about him. Didn't know that's who it was. So learned that because of this list. I don't know. This is a weird one for me. Like I kind of made the joke. I don't think anyone from Georgia was consulted with this list because all the Georgia fans would probably put Bobo, 13th, 14th?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a weird mix on this list. Like I feel like almost everyone, if you move them up or down 2 or 3 spots, you kind of can just be like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird. The inconsistency is the best way to put it because, for example, Tim Cramsey came from Memphis. It's never called plays at a big time level, right? And so and he's still very high on the list. And Memphis was ranked number 36 in the country and total offense. He's 5th on the list. Okay, so that's the kind of precedent you want to set. Well, all the way down at let's see, I just saw him a second ago. John David Baker.
Yeah.
John David Baker was the play caller at what was he at? East Carolina? Wasn't it East Carolina that he was at?
I think so.
Yeah, he was East Carolina. They were number 19 in total offense. Again, a lower level offense. And why is he all the way down at 12 and Tim Cramsey's all the way up at 5? He had a better offense at a lower level. Like, I would have gotten it if, like, Tim Cramsey had been in the SEC before, been at a high level before, had some success, but then was at Memphis kind of thing. But no, they both came from lower levels, and John David Baker was the better play caller. Like, so why is there, even if you want to say Cramsey's better, why is there a 7-spot gap? That's the big thing.
Right. Yeah, those two should be a lot closer.
Yeah, I think you put Grubb. I think you got Weiss. I think you got Faulkner. I don't actually have an issue with any of those. Steve Sarkisian, I would actually probably put number 1.
Yeah.
Again, people don't, Texas fans were not happy by the offensive output. I still think he's one of the best play callers in the country and one of the best designers. I put him and Lincoln Riley in a category of their own personally.
Yeah.
So I'd probably put those 4 in my top 4. And then after that, you got Beck, you got Lebby, you got, if it's Halsey, you got him up there. Bryles, I'd put up there. That's where I would kind of go with it.
Yeah, Bryles is another one that's kind of weird for me because we've seen him have offenses that are so good, but we've also
seen it in Arkansas, so he's done it in the SEC.
We've seen his offenses also be pretty bad, just for whatever reason. So he's one that maybe is a little bit too. I think my problem with this list is Sarkisian being at 6 is just throwing off my perception of this entire ranking, where I can't like wrap my head around the rest of it because of that. And then the fact that Heupel is not listed as Tennessee's play caller. I mean, those two things are throwing me off. And honestly, those two should be 1 and 2, and then you can talk after that. I don't know. Buster Faulkner is kind of another one that's a little bit interesting to me. I'd probably put him a little bit. I don't think he's top 3. I mean, I think he's probably going to be good, but I don't know. I'd like to see him, maybe do it a little bit longer. But like you mentioned, the Cramsey and the John David Baker one are weird. It's just, I mean, and Tim Beck, you could argue Tim Beck should be higher. He's had what he was able to do with
he's followed up with a second great year.
And the unique things that Vanderbilt did where they rotated like the entire line and not just flipping a play, they would flip the tackles. That's not something you saw anywhere. So, I mean, that means, he's a little bit different as a play caller and as a designer than what everyone else gets. So, I mean, I'd give him some points for that.
Yeah. And so what I'm reading, Josh Heupel, primary play caller. Joey Halsey provides significant input on the game plan and helps out in situational scenarios like third downs and red zone plays. So maybe that's why he's kind of getting the bump there. But if you do that, defensive coordinator, then Brandon Hall, the safeties coach at Oklahoma, does that for Oklahoma. Yeah. So then you would have to have him over Venables, and they don't. And so, and granted, he's not supposed to know every detail about every single team out there. I mean, he knows the basics of a lot of it. And so he's not going to know all the intricacies. I know Jeff Lebby gets help also in situational, situations and situational football. So little inconsistency there, but yeah, I mean, overall, like, and if you want to throw Heupel in there, then I'd put Lebby down a spot and Heupel's top 3 as a play caller. So he'd be up there. The key is, we talked about in the last segment where Tennessee could become this powerhouse with their offense, and their offense is very similar to the offense that Mississippi State runs. So Mississippi State fans are like, hey, well, if you're that high on Arnett and you're that high on Lebby, then they should be a team. The big question for that Mississippi State and Tennessee have to answer is if that style of offense can win a national championship.
Yeah,
super fast up tempo, let the defense kind of dictate what you run. We've seen teams have success using that. We've seen teams have success in terms of they overperform what their talent says. We've not seen teams win doing that, though.
It's very true. And yeah, and Tennessee's, we mentioned this during the season, they're a couple years ahead of where Mississippi State is in terms of the rebuild. And also, there's no questions about their NIL funding. So that's a whole other conversation. But I think Lebby should probably be a few spots higher than this list, but we'll get a good read on what he can really do at Mississippi State now that he has Kamario Taylor and a full offseason to really work with him and hopefully an improved offensive line to, really see what this offense can be.
Yeah, for sure. All right, coming up next, we're going to go around the NFL, look at some of the biggest storylines, including a surpriser in college football. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listings to the people who fit your specific criteria like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific target exactly what you need. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at indeed.com/podcast. That's indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. All right. Well, thanks for being Locked On Mississippi State. Your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. So there's been quite a bit that's taken place in the college football world. You've had the Senior Bowl, you've had things like that. But the biggest shocker to me was news that dropped on Monday, which was that Gus Malzahn, longtime offensive coordinator, and obviously was the national championship offensive coordinator, then was a head coach at Auburn, a head coach at UCF, announced his retirement at just the age of 60. And so I don't know if it's, hopefully it's just he wants to ride off into the sunset. We'll see what ends up happening in terms of if he ever decides to come back to the coaching realm. But what a career he had.
Yeah, I mean, we just got done talking about offense, and he was one of the kind of really innovative offensive minds of college football over the last 15 years or so 15, 20 years. It did come out of nowhere that he retired, but it does seem like he just kind of wanted to walk away. And I like when coaches are able to go out on their terms, not ones that are, run off from a job because they're underperforming and then can't really get another job. When you've accomplished everything he has, you deserve to be able to go out on his terms. And he was one of those guys that it didn't matter how talented that offense was on paper. You knew you were in for a shootout most nights when you went in to play that team.
Well, his biggest thing was he could overcome not stellar quarterback play.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he won the national championship with Cam Newton. Like, of course he had that. But the year they went to the national championship when he was the head coach, it was Nick Marshall, a cornerback, playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Corner with a C playing quarterback. And he led them to a national championship game, and they should have won the game. I mean, obviously they scored the late touchdown. You think's the game winner. Jameis goes down and throws the actual game winner. But that was a game they almost won with a cornerback playing quarterback. And so his offenses were very tough to start, especially in the running game. Yeah. So hats off to him on a stellar career. I mean, he did it all. And, it was kind of a shock when he stepped down at UCF to become an offensive coordinator again. He had a great start to the season. And really, the offense wasn't necessarily the issue for them all year at Florida State. But, yeah, hats off to him on a great career.
Yeah, it's great. You hate to see guys leave, but at least he's doing it on his terms, and haven't seen any rumors of any health things. So hopefully it is just him deciding it's time to be done.
Yeah.
Other thing I just want to mention, because on Friday I talked about him a little bit, Jalen Acevedo, the Navy offensive lineman transfer, he's committing to South Florida. So it looks like he's not coming to Mississippi State. And that was the only portal rumor I had found for pretty much the last week. So, I mean, it seems like they're kind of done.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that'll do it for us. So thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Mississippi State. Tomorrow, SEC Mike gave his prediction for who's going to, or for the record for every team. So we'll talk about where he's got Mississippi State going next year. Also, college baseball is almost here. Brian O'Connor's done some interviews. We're going to react to some of those because he gave a lot of good quotes. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Mississippi State to get all the latest episodes. Remember, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Mississippi State ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the custom link in the show notes to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. For Locked On Mississippi State, I'm Jaron. That's Landon. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.